time.
Yeah, Mike Tyson said it, like, do the things you hate, but do them like you love them. Like, and most successful people think that way. Welcome to Savage Servant Podcast. My name is Nick.
My name is Jason.
And today we're going to talk about being relentless.
Nick, what does that mean to you?
So, being relentless to me means no matter what your goal is, no matter what you want to achieve, no matter what desire God put in your heart, that you will stop at nothing to achieve that goal. Because it's what God wants for you, it's what you want in your heart, it's what you feel, it's what you need physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But I describe it as this, and I can only relate it to the gym using this analogy. But when I go to the gym and I work out, and sometimes I do 2 times a day, there's days that I've gone 3 times a day because I have a goal that I want to achieve. I have this vision, and it wasn't even me who had told me this, it was a friend of mine. He's like, have you ever seen like National Geographic? And they're out in, the African wild, and there's a tiger or a lion, and the photographer is, far away from them. But all of a sudden you see this lion or tiger, whatever, starting to run towards you. And they get that front view of this beast just charging as fast as it can, and you could see its teeth, and you could see its eyes scowling, and its jaws moving, and it's just whatever is in front of that lion or tiger. You don't know if it's a person, you don't know if it's dinner, you don't know if it's an enemy. Whatever it is, it's in trouble. Like, that lion or tiger, whatever it is going to get whatever it is it's going after, and you could see it in its face. So whenever I go to the gym and I'm feeling tired, or I don't want to go that day, or I have to do another, hour of cardio, whatever the case may be, that I'm just not feeling it. Like, it doesn't matter if I feel like going, you have to be dedicated enough to still go or do whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But I think of that visual, that lion running as fast as it can, and I'm looking at it, and it's coming towards me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I need to be that lion. I need to be that cheetah, whatever it is, running after that goal. Just be relentless, because I want people to see it in me. Whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve, I'm going to get it. And whether that's mentally, getting to a certain level of like thinking and understanding things, emotionally, being so self-aware that I communicate well with my girlfriend and my daughters and, my friends. A physical goal where I want to look and feel a certain way to compete at a certain level. Or spiritually, where I want to know that I'm walking the path that God has before me, and I need to be relentless in my pursuit of figuring out what that is.
So not letting anything alter your path or get in the way of it or slow you down, or even if it does slow you down, not letting it stop you at the very least.
Exactly. Whatever you do not quit. I think that's what being relentless is. And being a savage servant, you have to be relentless in your pursuit of becoming this man.
Yeah, so it's almost interchangeable with the savage. It's the same
and it's
ordeal.
True for the servant part too, because you have to be relentless in the way you serve your family, your friends, God, being the best version of yourself. So I challenge anybody watching this, like, if you don't have a real drive to have any of these things change in your life, to come up with something visual that you could think of that would invoke a feeling of, okay, I need to be relentless like that. Whether it be a superhero character, whether it be God, whether it be Jesus, whether it be, that lion or tiger running towards you, you just visually see him, or a person in your life that that is just attacking life. Like, they're going after it. Not to say things are easier for them, or they have, they're more talented than you are, but hard work beats talent any day of the week. And you have to be relentless in going after it. Whether it's, the relationship that you want, and that God puts that in your heart, and you can't explain it to other people. Just know, when you feel something inside, it's not for everybody to understand. It's between you and God. He put it there for a reason, and he knows you're capable of having whatever that is, and is going to love and take care of that. Go after it. Be the best version of you can. Constantly improve.
The way that we have done this in self-development spaces that I've been involved in in the men's program, that the program that I did for a year that I'm doing for a year, that I've done different things in the past, is created with an alter ego. Have you ever read that book?
No.
The Alter Ego Effect. So it's a super good book. Recommend it for anybody. But you basically come up with, what do you think is the ultimate version of this, right? Like, who's the best? It's different in different parts of your life. Like, people will have different alter egos for different parts of their life. You start with one, and the thing that you're trying to improve, that you're focused on at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. But we have developed these alter egos for being a father, for being a husband, for leading either your business or at work, whatever that is, and leading in your community, in a fitness sense. So you create this alter ego, and then you visually are doing this process where, okay, what about them is the best in that? Mm-hmm. And then there's this process of how do you make that switch? So there's different things that I do to kind of turn different pieces on. Mm-hmm. So when I go home, I do a specific thing. When I am going out on a date night with my wife, I didn't want to have to wear something or do so one of the things that I do specifically to kind of just, it's like that. It's okay, this is me turning this part of me on. Mm-hmm. Is I have one specific cologne that I only wear on date night with my wife. It's my wife's favorite, but it's a mental okay, I'm this is where I am. This is my focus. This is what I'm focused on. And it's the same thing for the gym. It's okay, I'm changing into this version. And then over time, right, you just have different parts of yourself that you're turning on different situations. It's not about not being yourself. Yeah. It's about bringing the most out of yourself that's appropriate for that situation at that time. Yeah. And that is similar to what you're discussing is, okay, I'm in the gym. What part of me am I activating? What part of me am I bringing to the gym? Yeah. Am I bringing the same patient and kind and understanding father figure that I am when my daughter needs me? No. Yeah. That's not appropriate in the gym, right? Yeah. But I also, that's another struggle too, is being relentless in that pursuit of being a good father and bringing out the patience in myself and those things. So the visual part of it is, what part of me am I bringing into this? Mm-hmm. And what triggers that? And it's a really effective tool. And whether it's one of the guys in my group, he does, every time he lifts, he has this kind of pendant that he bought. It's a silverback gorilla on it. Mm-hmm. And he's that's what I'm bringing out every time I lift. And he's a big dude, but that's his thing. Yeah. And that's his visual, and it works for him. So I think that's a cool key to try out, because it helps you focus on what you are focused on. Mm-hmm. In that moment.
You're right. It's like a huge control panel. You're turning in certain situations. Okay, I have to turn these off, but I got to turn these on. Mm-hmm. And in another situation, okay, I have to be nurturing, so I got to turn these on, but I got to shut these off. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of in a sense wearing different hats. Mm-hmm. In different situations. But yeah, that is one of the big keys to being relentless, is to have a visual, I guess a visual aid, I would say, because that works for me. Something in my mind when I think of when I go to the gym, or when I'm trying to be, like you said, having a conversation with my daughter, just being a certain way, or somebody that you look up to pops up in your mind, okay, he would probably handle the situation like this. I need to be more, understanding, or think of this way, or I read this thing, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But just not letting anything get in your way. I read it was 2-3 weeks ago. It was on a website that I was talking about, emotional understanding, and just how to work through disagreements, arguments with, your girlfriend or your wife. And at the very end, this guy was very blunt. And he's like, you have to understand, at the end of the day, from a male's point of view, you have to tell yourself, and I know this may be harsh, but think about it. Like, nobody cares about your feelings. Nobody cares about the excuses that you give yourself as to why you can't do something or to what's standing in your way. And it's true. Think about it. How many times have you in the past fed yourself feelings that you're just like, oh, woe's me, or playing a victim mentality, and all of a sudden you can't do this thing now, and you don't want to do this thing now, and you just start spiraling. It's like, hold on a second. Like, nobody cares about your feelings, dude. Just get up and get it done.
The people that do care about your feelings really are the people that are the closest to you, but
Yeah.
they're not tied to your feelings in any real way as they are tied to your results, right? Like your family, if you are able to provide for your family in a like if you go after it and you can provide and you can give your family a good life, then they're tied to that, and that affects their life in a really positive way, and that, you know, that's something that they key into. The feelings of like, I don't feel good, so I'm not performing today.
Mm-hmm.
They may say like, hey, like, babe, I really know, like, I know you're having a hard time, like all those things. It really, they may understand them, but does that mean that doesn't take away from them? Does that mean that fulfills them, and they say, like, oh, well, he didn't feel good today, so in turn she feels just as secure in you because you didn't feel good today, so you didn't do something, as it would have if you did do it and you got over your feelings and you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so yeah, they may let you make the excuses.
But at the end of the day, people want to see results.
Yeah, they don't
give a shit.
Really, well, they don't. What?
They don't. That's what I'm saying. The guy said, like, nobody cares about your feelings. At the end of the day, whether you give yourself a reason as to why you can...
Even the people that say they do.
Exactly, because they don't. Because here's the thing. Everybody's allowed to have a bad day, a bad moment. I understand. It happens to everybody. But at the same time, if you're feeding yourself bullshit excuses as to why you couldn't show up for your girlfriend or your wife in an emotional way that you should, what are you going to do? Stand there with a sign and be like, sorry, babe, I yelled at you. I wasn't understanding enough, or I'm feeling insecure, I'm this, and this. Let's be completely honest. That's why we're here. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. That's why it's up to you to deal with these things that we've been talking about for so long, because all that matters is results. You want to see results, they want to see results, so you can't give yourself an out. Because if I'm trying to say, you know, ultimately my goal, I'll say this and has been for a while, is to compete on a bodybuilding stage. That's why I'm training. That's hopefully, you know, my health will say good. Bless you. Just to share with everybody, I have Crohn's, so I haven't let it run my life. I haven't given myself an excuse as to why I can't go. I currently have a broken foot, but I'm still doing cardio at the gym. I'm still going to the gym. Like, I can't walk up on that stage with a sign of why I look like complete trash, with all the reasons why I don't look as I should on that stage, because nobody cares.
I kind of want to do that now.
Like, nobody, like, that's what I'm saying.
I really want to, like, not prep for a show at all, and just have like a sandwich board sign.
I've seen those. I've seen guys go up there and do that.
Just talk about, like, literally. That's actually really funny. I mean, but it speaks to something in us, right? That inner bitch that we all have that tells us things are okay
when you know they're not.
Nobody else can hear that except for you. Mm-hmm. And then you're using that as an excuse for the shitty life that you live. And it is really hard to get past those things. Mm-hmm. But the more that you do, the more you don't listen to it, the quieter it gets. Yeah. But I will say that it works the opposite way too. The more you listen to it, the more you let those excuses slide in, it can turn right back up. Yeah. And so it's doing the right thing every day it makes a huge difference. And that relentless piece of it, because if you allow anything to slow you down and stop you, even for a moment, it makes everything else, you lose that momentum. And that's why that relentless mindset is so important. And I think it's a good thing for you to bring up, because I will say that when, like, the weight that I've gained when I've been my least healthy, it always starts as like something small, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll make improvements, and then I'll slow down for something, because it's always something, right? There's always some excuse to, like, I have to handle this, and then I can't do that. Like, it kind of starts to snowball, and then you're like, oh crap, like, what's going on? Like, at some point you realize you can't walk around though and expect other people to entertain that same mentality, or that same thought process that you had that let you get there in the first place, right? Like, people are only going to see what they see. The results are going to show. Like, you're not going to get paid more because you didn't feel good that day. You're going to get paid more if you do more that day. And we have to remember that, I think, as men, because it's so easy for us to make excuses for ourselves.
Everybody.
And you're right. Like, nobody, the world doesn't care. Like, they don't. And if you think that they do, I challenge somebody to find a job that will pay you for the opposite, right? For not doing the work.
For not performing.
And for just feeling like not doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it today, but I should get paid for it.
Yeah. Your feelings are important. Let me say that. Everybody has feelings. I have them. Jason has them. Everybody has them. But there's a point to where your feelings cannot dictate what you feel like doing every day. Because if you have a goal, whatever that goal is, if you want to be a better boyfriend or a husband, then you have to do the internal work to communicate better, to step up to the plate as best you can every single day, to provide in every way possible for yourself, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, whatever that is. Okay? That is your responsibility. So you can't give yourself an excuse that you can't. Okay? Now, I'm not standing or sitting here and pretending like I have just, I'm this miracle worker and I'm this perfect man and I do all these things all the time. I have gone for a very long time in my life not being that way. But now that I do them consistently, and I have to force myself sometimes. Sometimes I have to force myself to shut up and listen, get up and go to the gym. Like today, I already went to the gym. Yesterday, I went twice. Still broken foot for 3 weeks. But guess what? Nobody cares, because you still got to do the work. Because if you don't, you're going to sit at home. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get mad at yourself. Then you're going to start to take it out on people that you love. You're going to be withdrawn, and it's just going to spiral out of control. So that's why you can't pay attention to those feelings. You have to stay disciplined every single day as best you can. You're going to fail some days. Those days don't matter. All that it is like, hey, I got to do better tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Because it's all about progression. It's not about perfection.
I liked what Wayne said about acting as if.
Yeah.
Like, act as if you want to do it, and eventually you will feel better and you will want to do it.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, you will get to a better place where it's not as big of a struggle, right? Do the things that if you were healthy, you would do, and eventually you will be healthy and doing the things that make you healthy over time.
Yeah, Mike Tyson said it, like, do the things you hate, but do them like you love them. Like, and most successful people think that way. If you have a really difficult time communicating, but it's like, I know that I have a difficult time communicating, so I'm going to read, I'm going to listen, I'm going to talk to my wife more, I'm going to talk to my girlfriend more, talk to my kids more. I don't do well dieting. Everybody has a hard time. Like, food's delicious. It's the hardest thing in the world to control what you put in your mouth, because when you're hungry and you're feeling emotional, whatever the case may be, you're starving, you want to eat something crappy. It's disciplining yourself to know that you can't have that at all, ever. You just can't have it right now, because what you want is greater than that moment of pleasure, delayed gratification, which a lot of people don't want to do. And it comes down to your mentality about the whole thing. Okay, so it all boils down to what you think and what you feel about yourself. You can think and feel about yourself all day long, but you can't let those ultimate feelings dictate what you do or don't do throughout the day, because I didn't feel like doing it. I've done it. I'm going to tell you that right now. There have been days where I'm just like, I didn't feel like doing it. I didn't feel like doing it. And on those days, I feel the worst. Because even if nobody knows but you still feel crappy.
If you go and then do though what you didn't want to do, have you ever regretted that?
No, never.
Yeah.
Like when I didn't feel like going to the gym and I know I was supposed to go in the morning and it's only the gym's only open for another 2 hours, but I get up and go. I'm like, okay, I did it. Like, I don't regret going. But you're going to run into things like that. But the relentless part of all of this is even if you trip and you fall, you get up and you just keep going forward as best you can. You can't stop because you only lose when you quit. Because when you quit, you have no chance of succeeding, whatever it is.
So, one question that I wanted to bring up that I was thinking about earlier, if you're talking about going after something and never stopping pursuing that thing, right? How do you navigate quitting? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm doing this because it's too hard, versus this is, like, I've realized this isn't a good path for me, or I shouldn't be going down this path anymore. Like, God's showing me, hey, like, this isn't the right thing for you anymore. Like, how
do you discern that?
How do you discern? Because I have a specific, like, kind of way that I've been told and that I've kind of followed recently that I think makes sense. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So, up until a few years ago, I didn't have much discernment on how to make those kinds of decisions, on when to quit and when not to quit, because I had a lot of addictions, a lot of problems that I'd never dealt with my whole life, and they affected everyone in my life that I love, from my daughter to my girlfriend now. And so I've got to the point now where if I know there's a difference between something affecting you negatively and something being hard. And a lot of people blend those two together. Okay? If something is difficult to do, but there's a possibility of it still happening, and it's something that you want,
but it's hard waiting. It's hard going through the process. It's hard changing. That is something that I will continue to do and give my all to, especially if it's something that God put a desire and a want in my heart, and I've asked Him to make it go away, and it doesn't go away. And it's not hurting me in any way. It's just hard to go through, but in the end, it's going to bring me to a better place. Then I know that's for me, and I'm going to keep going. Now, if it's something that negatively affects my life, mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, in the sense of I'm never going to get anything good from this. It's not improving me in any way. It's not a lesson or a blessing. Then that is something I walk away from.
I mean, it's hard to say, though, forever. Like, I will never get something positive out of this because you don't really know that, right?
But in that moment, it's like it's not serving me in any way. It's not developing me in any single way. It's deteriorating me in some way, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Eating too much. It's not, eating a bunch of sugary food and a bunch of crap all day long is not helping my physical goals. That's not a good thing for me to do.
Well, there's certain things, though, that are obvious, like that, right? Like sugar or the city.
I'm just using that because that's something
No,
that
but
most
that's what I'm
people
saying.
can like.
I'm thinking of, this is really hard. This sucks a lot. I feel like it's taking away from me in a specific way. Whether that it's taking away from my family time, it's taking away from something, right? It's taking away from me physically, it's breaking me down. But like, maybe it is building me up because it's making me do this thing harder. Like, how do you go about deciding, is it should I shift to this other thing because it's like, so say you're running a business and it's deceptively hard, right? Running a business, say doing that, and then at some point you feel like you should jump to this other thing, you should make this other decision because you feel like this other thing just isn't getting traction and whatever, right? Whatever the reason is, you feel like it's taking away from you.
Yeah.
How do you decide if that is you being weak and just stopping, quitting, or if you are stopping something that is not building you up, it's not making things better for you.
Okay, so two things I would ask myself is, number one, have I ever done this before? Okay. And if the answer is no, I've never done this thing that I'm trying to do before, there's going to be a ton of breaking down of me in the process. And that in breaking me down is going to make me grow into something. Now, once that's happened, if I've exhausted every single effort that is within my means to help this thing, whatever it is, be successful, I'm praying, I'm doing the right stuff, I'm getting connected to the right people, and my way isn't working, then I need to reach out to someone or something if I still want that thing to be. Because at the end of the day, if you don't want that end result, if it's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, you're going to find a way. And it may take away from your family because it may take away from your personal goals, but like we talked about before, that prioritizing what's most important in your life, dividing your time and effort and love into those different areas. Sometimes one is going to take 80% of your day. Sometimes it's going to take 20. Sometimes it's going to take 100%. Sometimes it's going to take none. It changes day to day. But at the end of the day, if I grew into that business or into that relationship or whatever it was, and I still want to be there and I still want it to succeed, and I've tried everything I've done, now I'm going to start reaching out to other people because there has to be a way. The third thing is, if you do not in your heart, this is something everybody has to ask themselves, want it to succeed. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, is do you want that thing, that feeling, that end result? If you don't want it anymore, then you walk away. Whatever it is. Because if you don't have that passion to succeed behind it, you're not going to get there.
Yeah, so then that's the real question that I'm trying to get to, I guess, is how are you differentiating you not wanting it anymore or you just being a bitch right now?
Oh, I will not put myself through something for something I don't want.
And so the way that I have recently, just the last 6 months, I'm trying to remember who was talking about this, but I had been, one of my mentors was listening to, and he had said, if you are going to stop doing something for another option, right? Whether the option is not doing it anymore, like you're choosing something else, right? Like no matter what, you stop choosing not to do this means you're choosing to do this. Even if you think you're just saying, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore, you're choosing to fill that time with something, right? Or to fill that effort, like where are you putting that effort or that energy? You could be choosing to, like, I'm not going to choose to give this hour to the gym and this effort and energy to the gym. I'm going to choose to, you're thinking, oh, I'm just choosing to not do that. No, actually you're choosing to sit on the couch and eat hot Cheetos. Like it's not a just, I'm not doing this. It's always another piece, right? And so this is the way I've been looking at it recently is, if I'm going to choose not to do something and I'm to make sure that I'm not doing it just like I'm not making that choice just to be like, just because I'm scared of it or I'm too tired or I'm being weak, right? Being a bitch.
Yeah.
I will only make this choice if it's equally or harder. If it's just as hard or harder than this other choice. So like if I think this isn't serving me, this other choice better be equally or harder. Like equally hard or harder. Because that's the only way for me to differentiate. Am I being weak? Am I choosing to not do this?
Yeah.
Like, does this take just as much effort? If not more, then I can choose this, right? Then it's me, okay, I'm choosing something harder. So maybe so that's, I'm not choosing it out of weakness, right?
Yeah.
I'm choosing it because it's a better decision. Because for damn sure it's a better decision. Like, you're making a logical decision if you choose to do the harder thing.
Yeah.
Now, does that work in all areas? Always? Maybe not. But for me, it's made a lot of choices easier to make, like easier to figure out what the right choice is, harder to then perform, but I have been left with a ton of satisfaction in the choices that I make, and that is a relentless goal. Like that's what we're talking about, right? Being relentless, putting yourself through the ringer and making things harder on yourself for a purpose.
Yeah.
Is going to make you a better, stronger person, man.
You have to become calloused, and the only way to do that is like callous is the way in. Is you have to do the hard things.
I mean,
and you have to just continue to go through those things to make you better. But you also have to, at some point you can't just. And I understand what you're saying, but you have to. If you're going from one hard thing to the next, make sure that you're following through with all those hard things to the end.
Yeah.
It's not just like I just jump from one thing to the next, because then you just have a bunch of unfinished things that you're just like, oh, I learned a bunch of things from it, but you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm thinking of pursuits, right? If you're pursuing something, you choose to do something harder, then you are, at the very least, you're growing.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just thinking about all the cardio I have to do now.
Now you should do it with a weight vest on.
There's a guy at my gym that does that. I used to have one. I don't know where it went, but my own body weight for the moment is perfectly fine.
I have a built-in weight vest.
Yeah, I have my own weight vest, and I'm slowly shedding.
I like it.
But just be relentless. And I know Jason and I have given our best interpretation of what that is, and it may seem kind of vague at certain points. But when that word's said, you have someone or something that pops into your mind that you relate to. Yeah. And that's, I think, your best example.
Do hard things, and you have no choice but to get better.
Yeah. Don't give yourself a way out. Just, God puts something on your heart for someone or something. Just know you're going to be misunderstood. You're going to be doubted. You're going to doubt yourself. But if you wake up every day and that thing is still there, and you haven't accomplished it yet, you have to continue to go after it with everything you have. And then once you get that, you have to know how to take care of it. All right. So until next time,
be relentless. Be a savage.
Be a servant.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
If you like this at all, if you got any info, or you just like us going back and forth, making each other look stupid, just share with one person.
We are on podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And until next time,
be a savage.
Be a servant.